Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana.
Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana.
Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhakacharya Astutarata Shri Śrīmad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhāgavatam ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Varanga. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Ranjana Salakaya Chachurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shra Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Am Sajivam Savetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Shra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhuta Srimate Shishikda Sarikariti Namine Nama Prahasaya Śrīla Prabhupada Anusarine Anitare Tasmai Shastra Bhajana Chodane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatharine Mukkam Karoti Vachalam Bangunam Hayate Girim Yakripat Maham Bande Shri Guru Dirtharanam. Reading from Preaching is the Essence. There's no bookmark, so I guess choose someone to read from. Okay, this is Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Chapter 1. Compassionate preachers are empowered by the Lord. Vaishnavas or devotees are usually very compassionate upon conditioned souls. Without even being invited, a devotee will go from door to door to enlighten people and bring them out of the darkness of nescience by injecting knowledge of the living entity's constitutional position as a servant of Lord Krishna. Such devotees are empowered by the Lord to distribute devotional consciousness or Krishna consciousness to the people in general. So, real compassionate work, Prabhupada is saying here, is injecting knowledge of the living entity's constitutional position as a servant of Lord Krishna. So, we see most people, they're just walking around and they're serving, they think they're servants of they're serving their society, they're serving their family, they're serving their bosses, society, friendship, and love, and Prabhupada would often say. Now, isn't that there's something entirely wrong with this? The thing that's wrong is that that is devoid of the conception of Krishna being the main object of our service. So like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one bhajan, he says, "Now, my Lord, I will give up my family unto you." And he says that, I recognize that these souls you've placed under my care. He's talking about his family. I realize that you've placed these souls under my care for me to guide. So that's the conception that we should have, that even whatever in our friendships or in our family life, that these are servants of Krishna and we're meant to serve Krishna together. Not that we're meant to serve each other's senses, and we're meant to, put each other further into illusion, thinking that we're these material bodies, and like that. So, in Lord Rishabhadeva's teachings, he's mentioning how no one should become a mother, a father, a guru, and so on, a teacher, if he's not able to deliver his dependents. So this is real compassionate work, is telling someone they're the servant of Krishna and they're meant to serve Krishna. So that's what the devotees do, like Prabhupada was mentioning in that section. Okay, any questions? On that point, before we move on. Okay, so moving on to the Srimad-Bhāgavatam. Today we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 3, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And today we are on verse number 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Shri Krishna Lila Stava of Sanatana Goswami glorifying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Sarva Shastri Vibhulasya Sarva Vedhaika Satphala Sarva Siddhantara Naya Sarva Lokaiki Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabhu Kali Dhvanto Didhatitya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, you are the most prominent transcendental fruit of the Vedas and are enriched with the jewels of all philosophical conclusions. You grant spiritual vision to all people of the world and are the very life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. Actually, you are Lord Krishna who has returned among us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Yaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. O Srimad-Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By your recitation one attains transcendental bliss, because your syllables shower down pure love of God. You are to be served by everyone always, for you are an incarnation of Lord Krishna. Mad eka bhandhu mat sanghin mat guru man mahadana mat nistaraka mat bhaktya mat ananda namostute. O Srimad-Bhagavatam, O my only friend, my companion, and my teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu sadhu to dhain ati nicho chathakara hanamuchakada chidmam premna hrit khataya spura. O Srimad-Bhagavatam, O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the most fallen, please never leave me, accompanied by pure love of Krishna. Please manifest yourself in my heart and throat. So today's verse, text 30. Etad rupam bhagavata hi arupasya Chit atmanam maya gunai virachitam mahat adibihi atmani etarupam bhagavato yarupasya chit atmana maya gunar virachitam mahadhadibim atmani etarupa bhagavato yarupasya chit atmanam maya guna virachitam mahadhadibi atmani etarupam bhagavato yarupasya chiratmana maya guna virachitam mahadhadibi atmani
Etan rupam bhagavato
Etan rupa bhagavato
Pasya chidatmana Maya gunaya Virachitam
Maya Gunaya Chitam
Mahadadi Viratmani
Mahadadi Viratmani Etadrupam Bhagavato
Etarupam Bhagavato
Rupasya Chidatmana
Yurupasya Chidatmana
Maya Gunaya Virachittam
Maya
Gunaya Chitam
Mahadadi Viratmani
Mahadadi Viratmani
Etadrupam Bhagavato
Etarupam Bhagavato
Yarupasya Chid Atmanaha
Yarupasya Chidatmana
Maya Gunaya Virachittam
Maya Virachittam
Mahadadi Atmani
Mahadadi Viratmani
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Word for word.
Oh, word for word meaning, that's right. Etat,
Etad
all these.
all these
Rupam,
Rupam
forms.
forms
Bhagavata,
Bhagavata
of the Lord.
of the Lord
He, certainly. Arupasya,
Rupasya
of one who has no material form. Chit Atmanam,
Atmanam
of the transcendence. Maya,
Maya
material energy. Gunai,
Gunai
by the qualities. Virachitam,
Virachitam
manufactured.
Manufactured.
Mahadibi,
Adivi
with the ingredients of matter.
Ingredients
Atmani,
Atmani
in the self. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Translation: the conception of the Virat Rupa, of the Virat universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world, is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Purport: the conception of the Lord, known as the Vishvarupa or the Virat Rupa, is particularly not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord, because all the incarnations of the Lord mentioned above are transcendental, and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. There is no difference between the body and the self, as there is in the conditioned soul. The Virat Rupa is conceived for those who are just neophyte worshippers. For them, the material Virat Rupa is presented, and it will be explained in the second canto. In the Virat Rupa, the material manifestations of different planets have been conceived as his legs, hands, etc. Actually, all such descriptions are for the neophytes. The neophytes cannot conceive of anything beyond matter. The material concept of the Lord is not counted in the list of his factual forms as Paramatma or Supersoul. The Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms. But the outward material form is but an imagination. Both for the Lord and the living being. The present forms of the conditioned soul are also not factual. The conclusion is that the material concept of life, conception of the body of the Lord, is Virat, as Virat is imaginary. Both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies. Translation: the conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. So, there's a couple things in this purport. Śrīla Prabhupada is bringing out. One is that the Lord, in the verse in purport, saying the Lord has no material form, and that the Virat Rupa, the universal form, is described for the less intelligent and the neophytes. And Prabhupada makes the point that this is described actually in the second canto. So, when we look in the second canto, the chapter actually which is described is called the the first step in God realization. So, the Virat Rupa, or the universal form of the Lord, is presented to us for the purpose of giving us something to grasp in the beginning, because we can't conceive of something spiritual. So the universal form gives us an idea of some form of the Lord, but it's saying here it's imaginary, because actually the Lord has no material form. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, which says that Krishna's form is Satchit Ananda, is eternal, composed of bliss, and full of knowledge. So he cannot have a material form. But the description is there. Prabhupada describes in the purports to these verses how the materialistic mind needs something to grasp onto. And so I will just read through the description that's given so we could see how that is actually presented. And this is actually starting with verse 25 in this first chapter of the second canon. And the chapter is entitled The First Step in God Realization. The gigantic universal form, the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal show, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. Persons who have realized it have studied that planets known as Patala constitute the bottoms of the feet of the universal Lord, and the heels and the toes are the Rasatala planets. The ankles are the Mahatala planets, and his shanks constitute the Talatala planets. So it's giving us a conception of the whole universe, and now it's starting with the lower planetary systems. And it's comparing these to his feet. The knees of the universal form are the planetary system of the name Sutala, and his two thighs are the Vitala and Atala planetary systems. The hips are the Mahitala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary systems. His neck is the Mahar planets, his mouth is the Jana planets, and his forehead is the Tapa planetary system. The topmost planetary systems, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads.
Cool.
His arms are the demigods headed by Indra. The 10 directional sides are his ears, and physical sound is his sense of hearing. His nostrils are the 2 Ashwini Kumars, and material fragrance is his sense of smell. His mouth is the blazing fire. The sphere of outer space constitutes his eye pits, and the eyeballs is the sun and as the power of seeing. His eyelids are both the day and the night, and the movements of his eyebrows, the Brahma and similar other supreme personalities reside. His palate is the director of water, Varuna, and the juice or essence of everything is his tongue. They say that the Vedic hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord, and his jaws of teeth are Yama, god of death, who punishes the sinners. The art of affection for his teeth is his set of teeth, and his most alluring material energy is his smile. This great ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance over us. Modesty is the upper portion of his lips, hankering is his chin, religion is the breast of the Lord, and irreligion is his back. Brahmaji, who generates all living beings in the material world, is his genitals, and the Mitra Varunas are his 2 testicles. The ocean is his waist, and the hills and mountains are the stacks of his bones. O king, the rivers are the veins of his gigantic body, the trees are the hairs on his body, and the omnipotent hair is his breath. The passing ages are his movements, and his activities are the reactions of the 3 modes of material nature. O best among the Kurus, the clouds which carry water are the hairs on his head. The terminations of days or night are his dress, and the supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. The principal matter Mahatattva is the consciousness of the omnipresent Lord, as asserted by the experts. And Rudra Deva is his ego. The horse, mule, camel, and elephant are his nails, and wild animals and all quadruples are situated in the belt zone of the Lord. Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of mankind.
What are massive autistics and birds?
The birds
Oh yeah, the peacock.
is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humanity is his residence. The celestial species of human beings, like the Gandharvas, Vidyaharas, Charanas, and angels, all represent his mystic rhythm. And the demoniac soldiers are representations of his wonderful prowess. The Vidyapurusha's face is the Brahmanas. His arms are the Kshatriyas, his thighs are the Vaishyas, and the Sudras are under the protection of his feet. All the worshipful demigods are also overtaken by him. And it is the duty of everyone to perform sacrifices with feasible goods to appease the Lord. I have thus explained to you the gross, material, gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form, because there is nothing more than this in this material world. So this is the beginning of God realization. And here in these descriptions, in the Bhagavad Gita also is described, Krishna is describing Rasoham, I am the taste and water. He describes, I am the Himalayas, of mountains I am Himalayas, of fishes I am the shark. So these things are meant to arise in the neophyte or the less intelligent a sense of awe and reverence to the Lord. And from this stage, we can start to have some appreciation for Krishna. And also understand that we're not Krishna ourselves. So that's like the demoniac tendency, is to think, I am so great. But when you hear Krishna saying, I am the mountains, the rivers compose my veins, and then we start to understand, okay, this is a person that's much, much greater than myself. And you have the material conception of the Lord, but then the Lord is saying, it said that the Lord is actually spiritual. And He is the cause of all causes. So the point of understanding that the Lord, once we understand that the Lord is superior to us, is meant to bring us to the point of devotional service. We see in the Gita that Arjuna, once he saw the universal form, he became fearful. And Śrīla Prabhupada describes that out of this fear came out of a sense of Arjuna was seeing this awe and reverence, was feeling this awe and reverence now when he saw this, and he started saying to Krishna, please forgive me for all the offenses I committed to you. But the Lord, Krishna, is more pleased with this more intimate service. So that's why then Arjuna asks for the universal form to be removed, and Prabhupada is explaining the purport that Arjuna was fearful of this universal form because it was just creating too much. It was just too spectacular for him to grasp. And so he asked Krishna, please just show me again your two-handed form, because the devotees, they want to be in relationship with Krishna. And with this universal form, we can't really have a relationship, because as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, that both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies. So this material identity that we have is temporary and is illusory, and it's not our real self. So by us investing in this illusory conception, we can't actually feel satisfied, because we're searching after something eternal. So once we understand that the Lord is eternal and that we're eternal, then what do? The answer is that we start to render devotional service. And actually, only by devotional service can we actually understand who the Lord is. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions in the 18th chapter, verse 55. Oh, he just over here. It says, Abhijanati No, bhakti mam abhijanati yavanyas tasmi tattvataha tatto mam tattvato jnatva visate ta anartanam. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So another thing I was thinking was that this universal form will start to develop some type of shraddha, some faith, and that there's something more superior than ourselves. Once we start to understand there's something more superior than ourselves, then we'll start to search out, who is this superior person? And so there's the process, there's the progression of devotional service that's described, that's given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. That is the first, you could say, 3 progressions. Shraddha is some initial faith in the process. Then by Sadhu Sangha, associating with the sadhus, then they'll actually will start to understand the process by which we can come to Krishna. The sadhus, they tell us about Krishna. They tell us Krishna. They tell us about Krishna's form, because the sadhus, the devotees, are very dear to Krishna, Priyakritamaha. And because they're his dearmost servants, they understand the Lord and they understand his form, because Krishna reveals himself to his devotees. In the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Santasa Deva Yesu Vilokayanti, Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gunasa Rupam, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So those whose eyes are tinged with the salve of love are able to see the Lord in his original form of Shama Sundar. Of course, that's a very high level. But we can have faith in those that have seen Krishna. They're able to transmit that faith onto us. So in the Bhagavad Gita is mentioned that we should approach a spiritual master and inquire from him submissively, because he has seen the truth. So because the devotees, the sadhus, they're experiencing Krishna, then they're able to give that experience to others. So it's like, if you're getting something, then you're giving something. So we can have this experience of Krishna by engaging in devotional service. And the more we engage in devotional service, the more experience we'll have of Krishna. Krishna actually says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tam Sataiva Bhajam Yaham, that as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So we'll start to, as we engage in the process of devotional service, Krishna will give some reciprocation, and we'll be encouraged to go on in the process. And associating with the devotees, taking prasadam, chanting the holy names, we'll start to feel more connected. We'll start to feel that there's something there, some substance. Even though we might not have a clear idea, but by reading the scriptures, we'll see that there is an ultimate goal, and that there is progression. And as we stick on the path and follow rigidly the process, we'll have more and more experiences that, Krishna has given us like little sweet balls along the way, and it's keeping us alive in devotional service. And actually, we see that when people understand that Krishna is the supreme, naturally some inclination of service comes. For example, there's and that inclination comes, but also in the association of sadhus, that inclination is more and more. The fire is you could say the spark is fanned. There's this one boy, Kevin, who we met on Harinam, and he came to the Sunday feast last week. Came also this past yesterday, and what he did was he called me and he said, can I bring some offering? So we see he wants to render some service, and so he thought, okay, let me bring something. And So I told them about the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna says, offer me with love and devotion a fruit, a water, a leaf, or a flower. So he brought some bananas. Yesterday also he brought some fruit. And then afterwards he said, is there anything else I can do? And we asked him to sweep up. And then after that he wanted to continue. And so he came out on a Harinam with us. And he took some candies and some pamphlets. And then he wanted to distribute the pamphlets.
Yeah.
So we're not paying him to do this. Prabhupada many times said that. Prabhupada, I'm not giving you any money. You boys and girls are coming and surrendering, coming and wanting to engage in some service. Why? Because now you're getting some experience of Krishna. They've given up the four sinful pillars of life: illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. How else would someone be able to refuse these allurements of Kali Yuga, which are the very life-giving breath of all the people in Kali Yuga? They feel so enlivened by trying to engage in sex life, by taking intoxication. So unless there's some experience of something higher, then it's not possible to give these things up. So then we can see practically that there is some experience that's going on, that people can give these up and want to render service voluntarily. And the importance of sadhu sangha also cannot be emphasized enough. For example, there was I just remember this one story in ISV. One person had come, and actually the devotees were just getting ready to go out on book distribution. And this person was his first time going to the temple. And so they told him, everyone was getting ready to leave. He walked in, he goes, "Oh, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, we're going out to distribute books in Harinam." And they're like, "You can come along." He's like, "Okay." So he came along. And, just by seeing the enthusiasm of the devotees, he just wanted to be a part of it. So he joined the Harinam, and then he saw the book distribution was going on, and he said, "I want to try that also." So he took a couple books in his hands, and he just went and approached one person. And it was a Śrīla Upanishad. He stopped one guy, showed him a Śrīla Upanishad, and the guy asked him, "What is this book about?" He goes, "Man, I don't really know, but these guys told me this is a really good book, and I trust them, and you should take the book." And the guy pulled out $10. Wow, he gave him a $10 donation. Amazing. So we see, just by the association of devotees, just their own enthusiasm was overflowing into this newcomer. And another point is that Krishna inspires us from within the heart. So is it Yesam satata yutanam bhajata priti purmakam dadhami buddhi yogatam yesamam upayantite yenamam upayantite, which Krishna says that to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. So on this point, Śrīla Prabhupada was asked once in Vrindavan. He was sitting with his book distributors, or with the book distribution party, and there was two leaders of two different parties there, and they were discussing, what is the best method to distribute a book. Prabhupada, we're trying like this. Prabhupada, we're wearing wigs. Prabhupada, we're trying this, we're trying that. And they were discussing among themselves, and then they said, "Okay, we'll go to Prabhupada and we'll ask Prabhupada, what is the best way to distribute books? What is the best method?" So they went to Prabhupada and they asked him the question. And Prabhupada said, he looked at them and he said, the only thing you have to teach the devotees is to be sincere. And as he was saying that, he said, and the master within will guide them on what to do. So we have some experience that also. Sometimes we're on book distribution and we'll say something, we'll just be like, where did that come out of? Mahotsa Prabhu is the crowning king of this. He just starts saying things. You're just like, the people are just like, whoa, and he himself is like, whoa, where did that come from? And similarly, Krishna will just inspire us to say something, inspire us to do something. Like the other day, I had never done this before, but somehow Sasha was sitting at the book table, and one guy came up asking for a vegetarian cookbook. And he said, I already have the higher taste. So Sasha was showing him a Bhagavad Gita before he asked, about the cookbook. And then I grabbed the Bhagavad Gita. I said, hey, this is a transcendental cookbook. What do you mean? He's looking through it. So I turned to chapter 17. I was like, yeah, look. And I just show him that, the food stuff. So you start seeing, foods that are too bitter, too salty, they cause disease, and foods in the mode of goodness. And he's like, oh, wow. This is amazing. This is science. So he took the Gita. He took it. So I was just like, I was just inspired from that. And so we serve, and sincerely, that's our main thing, is to be sincere. And Mahaprabhu has given us the method or the instruction. He said, just chant Hare Krishna and teach others. So we try to our best ability. We might not be eloquent speakers, and we might not be so charismatic, and we might be shy, but we try to the best of our ability, and Krishna will be pleased with our efforts. And so we just try. We just try and go out, give Krishna consciousness to people, give people the holy names, give people prasadam. And we're doing the best thing for them and the best things for ourselves when we do this. So I'll stop there. Not the bar?
And then you ended the last sentence, and you said you're going to try to give them Krishna consciousness, give them prasadam, give them, what did you say?
The holy names.
Give them the holy names.
Transcendental knowledge.
And also I think we should add with our, we have a strategy, then we also want to try to get them to come here and get the association of devotees, especially Gopal Prabhu, and then beyond that, make them fully initiated, or make them go back to Godhead. That's the full circle.
Right.
Which we're also part of the circle in someone else's preaching.
The process.
But we should always remember, it's not that like giving them the book or just making them chant or giving them a piece. That's good that we did that, but it's connected to a
bigger picture.
The bigger picture. And sometimes it's good to be focused on that small thing, because then you're distributing books. You need to just next one. But then also remember, it's part of a bigger. Have both perspectives.
Yeah, Prabhupada casts a wide net to try to bring in as many souls as possible.
If we can even get one soul to go back to Godhead, then that's fully paid.
Yeah, Bhaktisiddhanta said it. If at the cost of all my mass and everything, if just one soul, go back to God, and I'll consider that, the grandest sex.
And I had two more things. One was that when you were saying in the beginning, we're talking about people who worship the Virat Rupas. It's imaginary, but they don't really have a conception of Lord having form, so they do that. Remind me of the purport in the 9th chapter, where Krishna says, when others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many, and in universal form. So Krishna is talking about these three different kinds of people, and the Prabhupada mentions in the purport how now there's these Mayavadis and different people who worship themselves as one with the Supreme Lord, and it's the same they do arati to each other, and it's crazy and stupid, and you're like, what the heck? And then Prabhupada says that out of the above three, those who worship themselves as Supreme Lord, those who concoct some form of the Supreme Lord worship that, like the demigod worshippers. And who obsess the universal form, out of those three, the lowest worship themselves as the Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monists. They're most predominant. Such people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality they worship themselves. I've never seen that. That's funny. Yeah. This is also a type of God worship. Now this is Prabhupada being very broad with his understanding of God worship, because many other times he would say this is nonsense, but this is an interesting thing. But this is how we understand that. For they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually spirit soul. At least such a sense is prominent. So Prabhupada's giving them that. It's the very beginning. At least they understand they're not the body, and that stupid sense, argue to themselves.
Yeah, the example given of the drunk who sees that Krishna is a taste of liquor. Prabhupada said this is the beginning of the Krishna consciousness. So similarly with the universal form, it's you see people that want to be out in nature and they think, oh, look, this grand nature, and then what happens is then you can see that there's a creator behind things.
I have a lot of scientist friends that are getting PhDs in different things, and they have like this conception, like the universe is like, that's like the thing, you know, the universe is telling you to do this, or you know, whatever. They talk like that sometimes.
Yeah, but that's at least starting in some direction. Whereas, you know, some people just say everything came from nothing, or everything has no cause. You know, sarva karana karanam. Krishna says that he's the cause of all causes. For example, if I was to take, let's say, if I was going to bake a cake, and you know, this is just focusing on the point that there is a controller, and that things just don't happen by chance. You know, let's say I was going to make a cake. So I go down there, I take my flour, I take my sugar, I take my milk and, you know, egg replacer, and I just put it all on the counter. And then I walk out of the kitchen, and I come back an hour later, and I go, hey, how come the cake isn't ready yet? You know? Because everything has to be put together and combined. So similarly like that, it's not that just, you know, just this creation just is, you know, it's just ingredients and everything just ends up coming together. No, Krishna's behind it. He brings everything together. He brings everything together, and he's the ultimate controller. He's the cause of all causes of this creation.
What do you light a bomb in the kitchen? An explosion that will make the cake, right?
Yeah.
That really happens all the time.
But then even the bomb, someone has to make it.
Yeah.
Scientific method.
Every time a billion goes up, there's a few more billions that come out.
The whole universe goes up.
Yeah.
If I blow up one cake, 10 cakes will come.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you see? There's just these ingredients, and understand that there's a.
All right, then my third question, not necessarily related to the verse, but so some people that are saying that, oh, you should preach to the classes more, and that's better. You're gonna make better devotees. What's the use of preaching to the masses? You're just gonna get people that are just too hungry and like trying to solve their chapati problems. So I was wondering, maybe you could talk about that.
Well,
and how it applies to us.
The way it applies to us is what Prabhupada said. The temples aren't meant for lazies and crazies. So yeah, we preach to the masses, and people will come forward. And then we also have to use our discrimination to see, okay, is this person someone who's capable or comparable of, you know, living in the association of devotees and engaging in devotional service? You know, because ultimately it's a voluntary thing, and we present it. Our job is just go out there and present Krishna consciousness to everyone, to the class and to the masses, and then some will come forward from the classes or from the masses, and then our duty is to try to then, like you were mentioning before, move them along in the process and see how they're advancing. And yeah, we'll get people from both, from the classes, from the masses. We see Prabhupada attracted, you know, hippies, but he also attracted people in the higher rungs of society. You know, the grandson of, you know, Henry Ford, George Harrison, you know. So yeah, we can, because this movement is wide, there's different groups or different people will focus on different things. But not that we should neglect one part or say what I'm doing is better than, you know, what this person is trying to do. Because, I mean, there's inspiration. Everyone's trying to serve. Of course, it has to be in accordance with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So there's always has to be some sadhu that we're consulting with, or that's giving us direction. But Prabhupada wanted all these things to go on. You know, corporate preaching. You know, he wanted Harinam to go on. He wanted farm projects. He wanted, you know, preaching in all levels of society. Scientific preaching, you know. He wanted that. To try to bring these people, try to convince them. Mathematics teaching. Professors and like that. So yeah, it's not that, you know, we shouldn't preach to the masses, or preaching to the masses is better than preaching to the... No, but each person might have their own focus. Like here, we do the masses and the classes. You know, we're in Times Square, and you know, you can have some CEO or some some multi-millionaire just walking by and he'll take a book.
Movie star.
Or a movie star, yeah. We're in Union Square Park. We're in Union Square Park, and a millionaire movie star comes by and takes a Bhagavad Gita. You know, that's preaching to the classes.
Alec Baldwin also.
Huh? Alec Baldwin also, yeah. So that's preaching to the classes. So that's why actually Harinam Sankirtan is all encompassing, because it's all encompassing, because it's you know, we're going out there to the public, and the classes and the masses are both in the public.
And all the different programs, whether you're doing corporate, whether you're going to the scientists, whether you're ultimately, you need to give them Krishna Nam and they need to take Krishna Nam. All the other, it's just like to get them to take that.
Yeah, that's the point.
Whatever way you're going to try to do that.
Bring them to, you know, what is it? Verse is slipping. It's slipping me the verse.
Sukriti to the level where they can have Shraddha.
Even the English is gone.
Oh wow.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ryan has a question.
So this verse today,
Yes.
when I first read it a while ago, I was very shocked and bewildered by it, because it seems to indicate that any form that we can see is not truly God. For instance, our senses basically cannot be trusted.
Right.
No matter how holy we may think we are, this body is simply a vehicle. It's not, holy in and of itself. We can purify it with sadhana, but in and of itself, the senses themselves are not. They're just tools. So, seeing something or hearing something, because I'm always hearing about how, hearing about Krishna as a form of the Lord, seeing Krishna as a form of the Lord, but it's all still using very material senses. That you cannot deny that senses, they're real. But we're using the same senses as any of these other people walking around outside, the same ones. Some people can actually maybe have better hearing or better eyesight, better sense of taste or smell or touch or whatever than we can. But yet, we just direct those senses to the proper conduits. But they're still material. And this verse is saying that any form that has a material component is not Krishna. It's not God, period. It's not Him. It's, as you went on to explain, it's all meant for neophytes, people who have low level of intelligence, to go up to a higher stage of realization. So why do we put so much emphasis on things that we do, like prasad, or hearing, chanting, or seeing deities?
Right. Because there's a spiritual aspect to it. When it's infused in Krishna consciousness. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahmarpadam Brahmaharvir Brahmagna Brahmanahutam Brahmainaiva Tena Ghantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina, which says a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. And Prabhupada gives a famous example in this verse that it's kind of like the iron which is put into fire. It becomes fire. So what happens is there's the spiritual energy that's infused within the so-called material. Because actually, ultimately, on the highest platform, Maya just means that which is not. And even the devotee is seeing Maya as a spiritual energy on the highest platform. So for the devotee on the highest platform, he's just seeing Krishna everywhere. And it's saying that the universal form is illusory, meaning thinking that this material world, or that Krishna is composed of material elements. But the devotee understands that no, Ramadi Muti Shukala Niyamena Tistan Nanavatara Makarobo Vaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramam Pumanyo Govinda Mani Purusham Tamam Jami. That the Lord's incarnations are eternal. Of his true forms are eternal. Whereas this material creation is manifest, is unmanifest. So that's why it's saying that the Virat Rupa of the Lord is imaginary, because it's not something that's eternal. It's manifest and unmanifest.
But I can't think of the exact verse, but I did read in the Bhagavatam recently that I think it was a conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. One of them, I can't remember which, says that basically the Lord takes these forms in order to please his devotees, not because he has to have those forms. See?
But they're eternal. So the forms are eternal, so they're there already. But he manifests them according to performing leelas or pastimes in this world. So the forms are already existing; they're there. He's just manifesting them at different times in space.
You say they're already there? Where are they?
So the spiritual realm, the spiritual realm is there, and his forms are existing there. Yeah.
So by manifesting, they mean you mean that they become material?
No, meaning he makes himself visible in this material world, but his form isn't material. So he's saying the universal form is material, but his incarnation is like when he comes here and he's walking among us as Krishna, Rama, Nrsimha. That's not a material form. Like for example, they'll try to hurt Krishna. You hear in the pastimes they try to kill him, and it's so-called nick in his body, but he's not a material, like, or Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. Lifts Govardhan up on his pinky. Nrsimhadev, half man, half lion, appearing, tearing Hiranyakashipu, appearing out of a pillar. They're not material forms. They're spiritual forms. That's why or even we can see according to the relation in the arena of Kamsa. Everyone is seeing Krishna, but they're seeing him according to their relationship with him also. So we see, if all of us, we look at you, we're going to see Bhakta-Ryan. Whereas, if Krishna was to walk in here, let's say we were to have different... Right, but we're seeing the external... Exactly. So we're seeing just the material form, whereas Krishna's form is spiritual. So...
But how do we know what he really looks like if we can't use our actual eyes? Because
it's described in the Shastras.
So, the same questions are asked for. Good question. It's asked in the 10th canto, 87th chapter. It's called Prayers of the Personified Vedas. In similar question is asked, and the answer is given. Shishuka Vacha Buddhindriya Mana Pranan Jananam Ashrijat Prabhu Matrartham cha bhavartham cha atmane kalpanaya cha. Śrīla Goswami said, the Supreme Lord manifested the material intelligence, senses, mind and vital air of the living entities so they could indulge their desires for sense gratification take repeated births to engage in fruitive activities, become elevated in future lives, and ultimately attain liberation. So, and as we continue reading in this chapter, it's said that yes, it's hard for the living entities to actually perceive the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because ultimately they have material mind, material eyes, material body, etc. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, uses, somehow gives the living entities these senses enough to be able to perceive them in whatever, like to the best of their ability. And through that effort, he is pleased, and he reveals his form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's another verse in the Bhagavatam, Canto 11, text number 29, verse number 22. It says,
Devotional service. That's
Esha
devotional service, right?
Yeah. Esha buddhimatam buddhir manisha cha manishinam yas satyam anritteneha martyena noti mamritam. This process, devotional service, is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent and the cleverness of the most clever. For by following it, one can attain in this very life. Let me read that again. For by following it, one can in this very life make use of the temporary, right? So our body is temporary and it's unreal. That's your point, right? Bhakti Ryan's form is temporary and unreal, but who you really are is spirit soul. So you make use of your temporary and unreal form, like you have all your senses, you're temporary and unreal, to achieve me in the eternal reality. So we use our body and our senses as tools for self-realization. That's the ultimate use of our body. So your question is how could they see Krishna although they had material bodies, right? Is that your question? I'm a little I don't know exactly.
Basically, I'm going towards a certain conclusion, but basically...
It seems like, it seems like you're saying, how can we engage in spiritual activity with material senses? That seemed like the basis of your question.
Yeah, if you could sum up your question in
how can we realize spiritual realities using material?
So that's the answer to your question.
Well,
you use temporary.
I think he has a doubt that it's a little more subtle than what that verse expresses the answer to. Like, for example, you gave the very nice answer. He said, how do we know what Krishna looks like? So the Shastras say his color is like Shama Sundaram Achintaguna Surupam. But still, we don't perceive that. We just hear the word Shama and we think a dark bluish cloud-like color. But we still are not.
Still color.
Right. So let me get. I'm trying to. Yeah, that's right. It's a subtle thing beyond that. Krishna's that is like an arrow pointing towards the direction of what the reality of Krishna's color is. But it's still not that. So we require more than just this hearing from the Shastra. We require mercy from Krishna and mercy from Guru. And there's a verse describing how actually Krishna can descend onto our senses. Because like he said, the only reason, ultimately Krishna makes our senses is that so we can actually realize them. Even though the material senses, they're ultimately, because he gave them to us, they're made to actually realize him. That's like their ultimate purpose. The ultimate purpose of all words is to indicate him. And so this verse is a very famous verse. Natashi Krishna Namadi Namavegraya. So it's saying, you want to know Krishna, his name? How do you know his name? We're saying Krishna, that's not Krishna. That's just the letters of the alphabet if we're not in the proper consciousness. So Namadi, Nama means his name, Adi means etc. So it means his form, his pastimes, and his qualities. We can't understand any of that. They don't. Nabhaved, Bhaved means appearing. Grayam Indra, they don't appear or can be perceived by our Indra, by our material senses. They can't. But Sevan Mukhi Hi Jivado. Sevan, seva, your seva will save you. So someone who's seva mukhe, one engaged in service, certainly jivado, with starting with his tongue, jiva and then ado is adi means etc. So starting with your tongue, there's a different, smaranam, kirtanam, eating prasadam and like that. starting with the tongue, Swayam Eva Spuratyada. So Swayam means Krishna himself. Eva means certainly. Spuratya means like sporty. It means becoming manifest. So if we want Krishna to become manifest to us, then we have to make sure our consciousness is Sevan Mukhe. Then all these things will become. But it's a very subtle point. I appreciate you're trying to discern all the way down to the level, but so it's like bhakti is not easy. It's easy, but it's also very like subtle.
Yes. Thank you for that explanation, not the Bhagavatam. So I think Sasha.
Devotion.
I wanted to add on that point where like we were discussing preaching to different classes of people like scientists, and actually in the letter to Śrīla Prabhupada, his guru Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote like, I have every hope that you can turn yourself into a very good English preacher if you serve the mission to inculcate the novel impression of Lord Chaitanya's teachings in the people in general, as well as philosophers and religionists.
Wow, thank you.
That was the letter he wrote to him in December 1936.
Before he went back to the moon to continue preaching.
So for both masses and the classes, Krishna consciousness is meant for everyone, and it's actually the crying need of the hour. Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada said to Śrīla Prabhupada that it doesn't, this India gaining its independence, whether it gains independence or not, Krishna consciousness is so important that we can't wait for that. So similarly, we present Krishna consciousness to the best of our ability in whatever sphere that we're able to work, and that way we execute the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Śrīla Prabhupada, and our spiritual masters, and we engage in the process of Krishna consciousness for the welfare of all. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhāgavatam ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki.
His great Gopal Champu Prabhu.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu.